Sporty nuts, not butts.
See.
Ashy nuts.
See,
No, nuts don't get ashy.
See, I was
ashy
trying.
butts.
What I was trying to do, so you guys can know this, I was really trying to lead and extend the show with legal money. No, it's a good thing because I was fearing the type of language you was going to use for our new sports program intro. I was hoping you would come anew, but you decided to stay in your same.
You know,
tone.
you can't mess with things that work.
Right.
Why mess with success?
Okay. Why mess with success? All right, you know what? Would you say this weekend, different than all other weekends, a number of events happened, and I think everybody can call it was a hot sports weekend.
It was.
And if you're not into sports, then you may be a moron. Okay, so we're going to mark the whole...
And we know they're out there because I have some old girlfriends that have children. So they got to be out there.
They got to be out there. You're wrong. You know, we got some sports people in here.
It's the gene pool.
Yeah, and we're going to keep it where athleticism is the number one thing, not that they're supposed to conduct themselves in a certain way. I want to get away from that kind of sports. I'm not here to sit back and get into, now you have to set a good example there, Mr. Allen. No, we got to get into what we like the best. You look at the athletes that perform the best on the field, right, Mark?
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question. What's the number one sports event of the weekend? Now, I'm going to give you a little thing here so you can understand. You had
college football.
Well, let me tell you what you had. You had a number of things going on, ranging from. I'm gonna start off with one that's probably a little less popular during the weekend. NASCAR has something called the Chase, and the Chase is where they all run these last 10 races, and then whoever scores the most points based on these conditions. It got tighter. Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson, they're 6 points apart. That happened this weekend, which was kind of one of the closest chase races for, since they have the inception of the chase. Then you also had the New York Yankees getting bowed out by Texas Rangers. You had San Francisco knocking out Philadelphia. You had the jump of Auburn over Oregon, Oregon's been sitting in the number 2 position all this time, okay, basically saying, when are we going to go up to number 1?
I'm loving Oregon. And don't forget, we got a chance to see Ole Miss play, too, even though it wasn't part of the big thing.
I know.
I have to mention Masoli, because I love watching that quarterback.
You did justice. You did justice. Now,
still watching.
Still watching. But there were some other events also that went on just to go down the line. For those of you who may be tuning in, checking packstereo.tv/live, and you can see here that not only was the college upset of Missouri over Oklahoma a big event, that by itself when you take down the number 1. But following that, you had the UFC 121 where Brock Lesnar, the Bull, got taken out by Cain Velasquez. Something where a number of events were happening, and then the one that caught me totally by surprise.
That's right.
And we're going to get into this. Is Oakland Raiders setting the scoring mark? Historical record over Denver Broncos.
The most significant event that probably no one watched.
There's still one more to go, though. There's one more I got to list. Brett Favre. See, there's one more Brett Favre.
Oh, but
the comeback. The comeback, man.
No.
You have the comeback, and it fell short in Green Bay.
But no. I mean, I don't know. But no.
Well, okay, you tell me this. You look at the list, and you try to pick your number
and
one.
You were kind to leave. And you know who you were kind to?
Who?
You were kind to the Chicago Bears quarterback.
I just left it alone. You know why?
Throwing 4 interceptions in one game to the same guy.
I agree. But you know something?
Has that ever happened? Has anyone ever been picked off 4 times by the same person?
So
Vic, main thing is that I agree with you, Vic.
Yeah.
What a weekend for sport.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. There's a bunch of shockers. Dude. There's a bunch of shockers. There's a bunch of news. And I think the big thing is that they kind of made the NFL and even Major League Baseball take a second step back. I don't know, but even though, and I got to remind everybody, right, in the face of this, we know that this week is the launch of the NBA season and the World Series.
That's why the whole point was that you had a number of things converging on this weekend. You had professional racing, UFC, you had the UFC championship, which was big. You had the football, you had college football where number 1 gets defeated, and then you had the Texas Rangers and the San Francisco Giants, both whom were not favored to go to the World Series, knocking out their respective competitors in less than 7 games. All happening over the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. To me, this is kind of unrivaled because I think the part that makes it very unique, you throw in upsets, you throw out teams favored, you throw in the BCS rankings, which right now everybody's going at this point. How long does a team stay at number 2 when all the number 1s are getting knocked off? That's unprecedented to me. How do you just stay at number 2 for how long?
Well, that's the question. For the 3rd week in a row, the number 1 team has fallen. 2 weeks ago, Alabama and Ohio State, and then Oklahoma this week, Missouri.
Yeah, right. And
so everybody's getting shot.
Right. And so to me, the part that got, if Brett Favre had his own situation by himself, he can carry a whole weekend story by himself. By himself. The idea that the Raiders scored 59 points against the team that they always lose against. You got Brett Favre, you got NASCAR, you got the World Championships, which unfortunately, when I say World Championship, I'm saying it's not quite, it's not quite the Super Bowl of things, but it's the it's the whole idea that they get to this point where you go, wow, they got in the game. So which one captured your attention more than anything from this list?
Which captured my attention?
Yeah.
Okay, the Oklahoma game, Oklahoma, Missouri, because that was something to really watch to me. The Raiders thing caught my attention, but way after the fact, because I was not the least bit thinking about the Raiders. But now in retrospect, want to go watch the game somewhere.
Yeah,
I want to go watch it, but in retrospect, because that's not what we had the option of.
Well, the idea, Mario, I mean, what hit your head when they said 38-0 halftime?
I couldn't believe it. And you know what else is a trip to is that though my attention was riveted to the game, to the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. And I gotta reiterate what I've said throughout the season. Aaron Rodgers to me is becoming more and more impressive.
Yeah.
Both as an individual, I just like the way he conducts himself.
Right.
I like the way he speaks on the camera. I like the way he exhibits his leadership.
Yeah.
And man, he's dropping it on the money. That's the most precise, accurate arm I think that's out there today. They debate all that, but I think he is the most accurate.
Yeah, he's
today
next to Peyton Manning, probably, who has what they call the mechanic of throwing the football. Do you ever worry about Peyton Manning?
No,
you don't. We take it for granted, but would that be attributable to Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre for so long to get ready to come
No, I just think he's just good. He sat long enough, so he could have probably played, Okay. But I don't know. But it's good. That's the argument whether or not you need that time on the bench. They take more. In the past, they spent time.
Right.
Think about how long Steve Young spent on the bench.
Right.
It's people like that. But Vic, so that was number 1. But I got to tell you, the college game has really affected me, and I'm typically a person who just watches toward the end.
Right.
But you have the 3 teams that are top in the poll are all undefeated.
Yes.
Auburn 8-0.
Right.
Oregon 7-0, and they crush UCLA.
Yes.
Crushed them.
Right.
And Boise State 6-0.
Which Boise gets the idled weekend because they didn't play.
And plus there's 2 more.
Right.
Texas Christian is 8-0, and Michigan State,
who barely beat Northwestern, who barely beat Notre Dame, who's under 500. So do they deserve to be at number 6 or 7?
It's that deserve stuff. I don't know, and I'm not sure. But the coaches poll, I like the coaches poll, and I like. Remember the ongoing controversy, which we acknowledge, is the differences between the BCS and the coaches poll.
Right.
And so we like to acknowledge both. The BCS comes out every Sunday, right?
Right.
And so they came out with their ranking, Vic. And so what is it now?
When
I just had to look it up. I went to look while I have to admit I cheated because I didn't get a chance to see it last night, so I was looking. But so Auburn's number 1 on BCS.
Yes.
But what about the coaches poll?
Well, the coaches poll have Oregon up in number 1.
Yeah, I like the coaches poll more.
Now you getting into the subject I asked last week. Who do you trust more in the BCS?
How do I trust? I mean, okay. In other words, when you say, you mean for accuracy as to who's being?
Yeah. Who do you trust?
I don't know.
Okay, but you know what?
Because I don't know how the computer's actually doing theirs, and you can't assume just because it's a computer that it's accurate, because it could be accurate about the wrong data.
Right.
And then to give you the wrong outcome.
Right. And I'm not saying, first of all, I believe
I like the coaches poll.
Yes, the reason why is because they're on the inside and they can look at the players and say, I can tell you what kind of team we're playing. The computers do it by process of elimination and after you play this team. Remember what I get into? I said, well, have the BCS do predictions in advance so that we can see how accurate they are based on the data at hand, which is not much. All right. Now, you know what? Throughout this weekend, there was a couple of events that happened that didn't rate but were top stories. No one even talked about that the Miami Heat and Orlando Magic game got canceled because of slippery floor.
Oh, I saw that.
So imagine, here's the teams that you want to see, and Orlando being undefeated in preseason, playing against the Miami Heat. So everybody was waiting for it, but guess what? It didn't reap the headlines. So that took a second-tier story to me. So you had New Orleans Saints being upset by Cleveland. That took a second-tier story. So we had so much.
Cleveland, Norman, you guys, that's it for the season. That's it, Norman.
No more, right?
No more.
Okay.
Well, that's good. You got to get that. Get your microbrew.
Well, you know what? Out of all these stories, I went to look at a lot of stuff that were the faces. And we had the faces of what we call the sports weekend. And Mario, to me, I have 4 picks up there. And I'm going to let you try to pick which one.
I only see 3.
Well, it's a 4th one down. There you go. There you go. Now, you have Josh Hamilton, who is really up to be the most valuable candidate for the American Baseball Conference. And then you have, of course, Brett Favre with his hands on his head. Brett is going to be there. But you have Brock Lesnar, who got his lights knocked out, TKO in the first round.
Oh, it was an accident.
There wasn't. Dude, I saw the fight. And I'm telling you right now, speed kills. That's all I can say. He's a brute force guy who attacks you like Mike Tyson back in the day. Comes straight across the ring, and then he swarms on you so fast that you don't have enough time to adjust. Well, this guy knew this, and of course he prepared, and he's 20 to 25 pounds lighter than Brock. So Brock he has no neck.
You know, neck's overrated. Head is important.
He has no neck.
But neck is overrated.
Right. So here it is. You're wrong.
I'm telling you, I know.
Wait a minute.
I tell you, I know.
Okay.
Testifying.
Okay. Now here we go. You made your statement. Now you got the guy at the bottom, Harrison, Pittsburgh Steelers. I sit there and think about this man right offhand.
He got over it.
No, well, here's the part, Mark. Did you notice the play on the football field that these players who were fined, now they showed looks of them avoiding hitting? I'm not happy. I'm not happy when I see my rogue bulls going after somebody and they got to pull up.
It's gonna be like more like wrestling. It's an entertainment sport.
No.
Now wrestling looks really ferocious hitting, but they do stuff to make sure it's not that hard. That's what football is gonna be like. It's gonna be a dance. They're gonna come at each other and ching.
You know what? That's
ching.
Not. This is James Harrison. Look.
Those days are over. So
wait a minute.
It's now time for sensitivity training.
So let me just say this.
We're going to send all the players to sensitivity training.
Here's the part. Out of those picks, Mario, there's only really been one winner and yet to be crowned champion. That's Josh Hamilton at the top. Everybody else, Brett Favre
Brett is always a winner.
Right. Brett Favre lost. Brock Lesnar lost. Oops. And then James Harrison, disappointed because you don't see him headhunting. Not that he literally was, but...
It's hard to get you. Once you're used to that head, it's hard to stop hunting for it. That's why headhunting is like that. Once you get used to it, it's hard to be hunting.
You see what I'm saying?
So I'm looking.
I'm leaving this alone. I'm leaving it alone.
Where can I find it?
I'm going to the next story.
He's a headhunter.
You're wrong, man.
I understand.
You're wrong.
That's what it sounds like, Vic. It sounds like a sad day when you have to hunt for it. I thought the young folks were different.
I know. Well, you know what? I'm leaving you alone because I know where you're going with this.